This is Tony Salvaggio from Deserts of Mars. You're listening to the Brutally Delicious Podcast.
One, two, three, four. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
So anyway, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
I appreciate you taking the time. Let's first start off with, man, you come from a music city, huh?
Oh yeah,
That's like the Mecca.
Austin's good for that. Yeah. It's really I really dig it. It's changed a lot. As things do. But
Right.
we're lucky. I'm lucky to live in with a really good scene. I even met my wife through Musicians Wanted ads. So, music's
wow.
been key since I moved here in like '96. So, yeah.
Do you find it difficult to scream above all the noise then? Because I imagine there's a ton of competition as well.
Yeah, I try not to. It's not direct competition, but it is harder to get. It's kind of harder to be booked sometimes. There's so many bands and there's so many nights, and then also just the choices. Like just the other night, I was at a show, and then other friends were playing another show. I would love to split my time and see everybody, but having to make those choices. It's also sometimes a little bit harder to have an event and get paid more because there's just so many people who want it. It's a little harder to have hand. I have a good friend who said, it's sometimes cooler to be from Austin than it is to be playing in Austin. But we have great venues here. Even now, like Lost
Right.
Well, Far Out Lounge, Mohawk, Stubbs. Hotel Vegas. There's just great places to play with cool sound and good bands. So it's nice to be able to play with a bunch of friends, but it is harder to get booked in that way of like, oh well, there's you're booked so far out because there's so many bands.
Right. All right, so I want to get into details of the more detail in a second. But when does Dead Planet Exodus come out? Because I didn't see that anywhere.
So we're kind of shipping it to some labels. So I don't have a definite date. The idea was, we hadn't done anything in a little while. So the idea was, hey, let's release some singles. Let's get back in the mix, build up our presence again. So far, a lot of labels are already booked up well into 2025. So if I don't hear back from a few people, it'll probably be, I'll probably do a DIY self-release again. Since we did that before, I kind of know the landscape of it.
Right.
And so probably later in the year, probably if I don't, if we don't get hooked up with the label.
Okay. So I may mispronounce this, but Illuminati, is that right?
Yes, Illuminati. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that's the single I heard and absolutely dig it. But I think reading your bio and listening to the lyrics, I think there's a lot deeper meaning and a lot of stuff going on here. Can you explain that just a tad?
Sure. It started. A lot of our stuff kind of starts with just us throwing out labels for songs as we're developing it. My drummer threw out this word Illuminati. He's an avid reader as well, and and I was like, oh, I think I could run with that. And so it became this. As I was writing the lyrics, which I kind of write per song, like how do these tunes sound? I don't have like a book full of lyrics, right? I started thinking about just so much stuff is ruined by capitalist jerks. And they're not. It's everybody has this idea of the Illuminati, like they're hidden and they're running this. It's like, no, these people are out just doing whatever they want, like regardless. I worked in the games industry. There's 20,000 people who have lost their jobs in the games industry because of managers, like stuff like that. Like managers, just as things have progressed. And look, I'm just as complacent, right? Like I have an Amazon account. I, have a Mac. Like all these. There's all these big companies I use. I'm complicit in all this, but the gall that so many huge companies and billionaires and everything, how they treat people, and that just really stuck with me, and that was the impetus for this. Um, it just
I
I
mean, you could
couldn't.
almost equate that to what's going on now, right?
Oh no, it has turned as I was writing it. We started writing it a year or two ago. Um, it's accelerated way more than I expected. I I was hoping, I always try to make what I do ring true, but the past
Right.
year or so has just I've been kind of just in awe of. I didn't want things to progress like that.
Right. I think most of us did not want it to progress like that. But yeah, and so it was almost prophetic, that song.
Yeah, it ended up being that. Not. I like that it rings true, but I wish that it perhaps didn't ring as true.
It didn't. Right.
For all of us.
No, I get that totally.
Yeah.
Is this going to be a concept record then? Or you,
So Illuminati's not as much in with the concept, um, but it is. As I was writing it again, Dead Planet Exodus ended up being a concept album, a loose concept album about a group of astronauts who crash into this planet full of monsters, and there's I have all this backstory that's not even in the all the lyrics, but basically them trying to escape. So the first single we did,
okay.
Crimson Mountain, is actually close to the end of the concept album, where these crastronauts, as I call them, are trying to escape the planet. They find out that there's this spaceport, the Crimson Mountain, that they have to assault, and all this stuff is just everything I like about like the heavy metal movie. And I've written comic books as well. I've wrote some graphic novel stuff, and all of that kind of sci-fi, all the cool stuff that's in metal, right? Like as part of that. So the first song when we released the album is called Crash Down, and it kind of evokes that feeling of the beginning of Pitch Black, where everything's just heading towards the atmosphere. That's what we're kind of reaching for. So but a lot of it is this kind of them trying to get to these places and discover how to get off this planet. And like most things I write, is also a metaphor for just, hey, we've been kind of stagnant due to COVID. How do we escape this stagnation in our creativity and releasing this album and everything like that? So everything I do kind of has a partial metaphor, as well as being all about the cool metal stuff that I dig.
Right. Are you writing these as short stories then first, and then writing lyrics to that, or how to? Because that's an interesting process, right?
Um, this time, I mean, I do sometimes kind of have that vision. There's a storytelling aspect to what I try to do. But in this, it just kind of, as I was putting the album together lyrically, it just felt like that was right. And somewhere along the way, after thinking about Crash Down, there's another song called Midnight Comes. Like all these pieces just started to fit together. I went, oh, this is the concept album. This is where we're at. And again, like I said, with the metaphor of us not being able to release new albums, not being able to tour the way I wanted to with the last album and everything. Like the idea is we have crashed in this zone of not being able to do stuff. Like, how do we escape that? How do we rise above that as a band? Get back out there and really hit it hard.
Right. So, sticking with the themes and topics here, do you feel any sort of responsibility to your fans to convey a certain message?
I mean, it fits. We're a stoner rock band. We've done stuff that's both kind of storytelling as well as topical, and some of it's personal. I really write for the heart, because I think that being genuine first. Of course, there's kind of a flavor that we have as a band that I kind of want to keep. We're not too far out left field, but again, even on this album, there's kind of some Thin Lizzy-y kind of stuff in with the Monster Magnet or the Doom or the, one person say Illuminati reminded them of Candlemass, and I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome, right? So, the responsibility to our fans, to me, is to speak from the heart, to do something genuine. That's all I've got. I mean, the reason I play bass the way I do, which is kind of a rhythm, more rhythm guitar, I play a baritone bass. The sound I have and the way I tell stories, that's the most pure thing I have. Like when I did comics, I still had an editor and a publisher and everything like that. Like being DIY, the I just felt compelled. Like that's the purest version of me. It's the purest thing I can do. So in that's the way I try to think of it. As far as hopefully fans are along for that. We're not like totally coming out of left field as far as what we're writing here, but that's what I feel. Any of our fans, I think when you're not genuine, people can pick up on it.
I 100% agree. It's definitely more organic. But I'm curious. So those songs then. Shoot, I just lost my thought. Sorry. Oh yeah. If you're adding those, Thin Lizzy elements and that sort of thing, does that sort of creep in? And when it does, obviously you're maybe concerned what your fans might think, or do you not even worry about it and go with it because you're staying with the whole organic thing?
I don't worry about it as much. I think that it's always gonna sound like Deserts of Mars. Like I don't. That's the way I write. Like lyrically, vocally, the bass is gonna sound. We worked with various people. Also, it's gonna be kind of in lockstep with our previous EP. We worked with the same producer, Jeff Henson from Google. The writing was similar, so it's always going to be pure, and it's going to sound like Deserts of Mars. I don't. It's not kind of an out of left field like I've had. There's some bands who go, "Oh, we're going to recreate our sound." Like, any sound we have is something that's born in me. It's something I was influenced by. Like, people hear grunge, they hear Monster Magnet, they hear Motorhead, they hear, there's all this stuff that's flooding. My early bands were industrial bands. So Shiluminati came out of like, we kind of started writing this, like, I'm like, oh, this kind of has an industrial flavor. I wanted to keep that going. So I think it's always going to sound like Deserts of Mars just by sheer force of will. And I don't know how to write anything else. That makes sense.
Right. Are you doing most of the writing yourself?
I do it. I do a lot of it. A lot of the core riffs. Our former guitarist, Bradley, definitely helped write a lot of the riffs and stuff that were, or the songwriting on it. He had to leave during recording. But all the lyrics are mine. Vocal melodies, all of that. A lot of the initial riffs. He had a huge hand in "Crash Down" and "Temple of the Rain," which is the next single we're going to do. But overall, I mean, his contributions were here and with the last album. So it's not. I definitely can't take credit as far as that goes. Like I write collaboratively. I'm not. There are bands, I think like Monster Magnet, Iron Maiden, where you have a very forceful hand that really shapes the song, and more people come in. It's not perhaps as collaborative. I'm not that way, but I will say that the core of it is definitely me. I'm the founder, and the person who's been in keeping things going, right? So yeah, it's. That drive, that's Deserts of Mars is me in that respect, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I know we talked briefly about or at least mentioned, the difficulties of live. Are you guys taking this on the road at all?
We hope to. We just got our new guitarist a few months ago. We've been, playing some good gigs. There's been great response. You're doing it right at the club, and the sound people are like, hell yeah, that was great, right? Like, 'cause they hear things every night there with the band. So we've been getting really good response. We're booking shows in now, and then just seeing how far we can take it. we're not probably set up to do like a month, 2-month tour yet, but we'll see how things progress. But we're definitely like live is a huge thing. For my previous birthday, my wife asked me, "Hey, this is a big milestone birthday. What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to play live." That was my big like that's what I wanted to do, right? I thought about, we could take a vacation, we could take whatever. We put together this show, and had friends of ours play, and that's so live is a huge element. The flip side of that, of course, is when we were writing the album, Jeff is a great producer. He's like, "Look, you got to make the best album you can because there's a chance nobody will hear anything past that. Like, can't tell what's going to happen." So we really laid it all out on this one.
Nice. And if fans want to find you guys, how do they do that?
Bandcamp is like I love Bandcamp. It's great. We're releasing singles through there. The album will be there, I'm sure. Spotify, we go through TuneCore, so everywhere you can look, we're there on all the streaming platforms. Spotify is what it is. I don't always agree with the founder. It's up and down battle with that, but Spotify helps us because that's kind of the gauge, for better or worse, of if you're doing great, right? Like, people look at your Spotify views, so always I direct people there because that helps us. But I also have been putting. I'll probably change a little bit when we release the new album. But for most of our releases, I also put in Bandcamp, pay what you can. I say pay what you can instead of pay what you want, because I've been a broke musician for a huge chunk of my life. I luckily have. I have a good job now. That wasn't always the case. I get to make different decisions because of that, but I understand. It's always better if people pay more money because that helps me, because I'm definitely independent at this point. Like, all the T-shirt money, everything that it takes to make an album, and it's not cheap. Is on me currently. Not as a martyr, but just that's how it is, right? I'm lucky
I get
that
it.
I can do that. And so that helps, but every bit helps. Just or telling people about it, right? Like, hey, you dig the tunes? Tell your friends. Go to Spotify. Go to Amazon. Go to wherever. We want people to listen, and I think everybody. I was thinking about it last night, actually. Like, everybody wants somebody to think of their band as their favorite band. I don't know if we're out there, if anybody does that yet, but that's what we can hope, and that comes from people just really digging the tunes. And we've gotten a lot of people who really like what we do. So that I'm fortunate in that respect, right?
Fair enough. So, Deserts of Mars, at Facebook, or Facebook Deserts of Mars, is that?
Oh, yeah. Facebook,
is there some kinda...
Instagram, same. Yeah, we're everywhere. Our website, desertsofmars.com, as well, has all the links. I need to update that one more often. It's a whirlwind, so I answer more on emails and Instagram and Facebook. Like, it's easier for me to do that throughout the day. But yeah, almost every platform. Not as active on Threads, perhaps, but Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. You can find us. It's easy.
So that's all I had on my list. Did I miss something you want to cover?
No. Just I appreciate you having us and talking about this. I just hope that people want to check out the people are digging the new singles. I've actually been up late doing the new lyric video for the next single, Temple of the Rain. Luckily, I used to work as an animator for video games. I've been a really jack of all trades, so I was able to do that based on the cover art. And so, I just really appreciate you having us on, and thanks to everybody who's listening. Thanks for you for listening. Your time is the commodity you can't get back. So people sitting down with their headphones or wherever and just taking the time to listen to a tune, that means the world. Hopefully the whole album, but just these singles alone, hell, we have a song called "Temporal Vampires" on the new album that's just about people taking your time and not giving back, because that's the most, because you can't get it back. You can make more money, you can't get time back. So I'm appreciative of anybody who's taken the time, again, like your time to interview, your time to is important, and to listen, to just sit down and listen. That's just amazing, and I appreciate it every time.
Absolutely. I love it. Absolutely. I enjoyed the conversation.
Oh yeah, me too. Anytime, if you need anything, hit me up on the. I answer all the email. I answer. For all intents and purposes, I'm the person you contact with Deserts of Mars, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Millie. Hope your week is great.
Be well.
Cool.
Oh yeah, have a good 4th, by the way.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks. Later.
Yeah. Be well. Cheers.